more like from nightfall until sunrise. That's the same word. That's the same thing.
That's your cold open.
We didn't talk about a cold open before we started. So
okay, but you chose to speak first, and you brought that weak nonsense.
Well, I felt uncomfortable with the quiet.
Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. We got to do this right. Okay.
Are we starting?
Big
over?
Episode. No.
Oh,
what we're gonna do?
No. Episode 91. Here we go.
We are each going to, on the spot, come up with a cold open, and then Samantha will edit the best of the 3 cold opens into being the real cold open. Okay. So start with you, Caleb. We'll fix it in post.
Okay.
Okay.
From dusk till dawn, more like from sunset till sunrise, featuring Juliette Lewis. It wasn't better the second time.
It got worse.
From dusk till dawn, more like you suck.
From dusk till dawn, more like more like
from feet till toes.
Ah, there it is. Welcome to Junk House.
I was like, what would be funnier, interrupting or like after you said that, go, I got another one.
No, interrupting was perfect because I was looking through the actors list and trying to be like, okay, what's a funny thing I can say? What's a funny thing I can say? I got nothing. All my brain can think about is Tarantino licking on toes.
Welcome back, everybody. Tarantino licking on toes.
Licking all over them toes, Tarantino was.
Welcome to Junk House. If you're just now joining us for the first time, you might be confused because we don't normally just talk about movies, but it's March Movie Madness. So we're watching through some choice takes from the director Robert Rodriguez, and this week we will be honestly a big task talking about From Dusk Till Dawn.
I'm so excited.
Real quick though, merch idea.
Mm-hmm.
We get a shirt that says maybe it does like the line where it says March Movie Madness, and there's a guy with maybe one of us with a bowl, and it's like instead of cereal it's like film reel, and he's like eating the film reel.
Oh, like spaghetti film.
I was thinking ramen.
I mean,
basically the
same.
Same.
Basic. You know what? For graphic design, pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, From Dusk Till Dawn. From Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn is a 1996 American action horror film directed by Robert Rodriguez and written by Quentin Tarantino from a concept and story by Robert Kurtzman. It stars Harvey Keitel, George Clooney, Quentin Tarantino, Ernest Liu, and Juliette Lewis. The plot follows a pair of American criminal brothers, Clooney and Tarantino, who take a family as hostages, Keitel, Liu, and Lewis, in order to cross into Mexico, but ultimately find themselves trapped in a saloon frequented by vampires. That was in my brain. I just memorized all that.
I'm impressed.
See, that was the craziest thing about the movie, because I feel like I had maybe once forever ago heard that it was associated with vampires or that there were vampires in it. But there's not vampires in the movie until like at least an hour 20 into the movie.
So I actually, it's wild that you didn't know it was a vampire movie. I knew it was more of a vampire movie than anything else. So I spent the first hour of the movie going, where are the vampires at?
The things I knew about this movie before watching some of this movie and then wimping out because I don't like scary stuff and gore, and instead watching the kill count video, which is a common occurrence for scary movies and Caleb Burley with this podcast, is I knew about the Quentin Tarantino, Salma Hayek foot scene, And I knew that Salma Hayek was scared of snakes, and so that scene was very hard for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. For the uninitiated, there's a scene where Salma Hayek is like an exotic dancer and she has a huge boa constrictor around her the entire time. She's dancing on stage.
Trivia that I know, because I looked up trivia to make up for not being able to watch a lot of the movie. She actually had to be hypnotized and put into a trance to be able to shoot that scene.
Whoa. That does make sense though, because she does look like very calm. You can never tell that this person was deathly afraid of the thing that's on her body.
She, in an interview, said that up until then, snakes were her biggest fear, and that after that, snakes are still her biggest fear. So,
man, thank you, Salma.
Do you think they had to hypnotize her to put her foot in Tarantino's mouth as well?
Was it actually Salma?
Was that Salma's
time? I'm pretty sure there's a shot where you see her whole leg and everything.
I think it's only one shot though. So very
You think
easily,
they did a foot double?
I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying for sure. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. If I was a big name actor like Salma Hayek in that moment, I would be like,
but she was not big name.
Well,
she was not big name at the time.
Yeah. So yeah, she had just like broken into America, but she had filmed a lot in Mexico prior to this. Yeah.
Well, fair.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah. But I do think we need to like fully get all of our like Tarantino foot nonsense out right now, right here, so we can actually talk about the rest of the film. Because my brain keeps repeating Tarantino wrote a movie where he got to lick feet. Tarantino wrote a movie when he got to lick feet. Like,
yeah, he did. They did do a good job because Quentin Tarantino's character is like a complete creep. Is like insane. Total pervert. Has sexually assaulted people in the past in the story of the movie. Yep. So it's like at least it wasn't like, look how amazing I am, and also I get to suck feet.
Yes, he played a depraved maniac. For those uninitiated, I mean, watch this movie. It is a wild ride.
Yeah,
but also like Tarantino, like George Clooney's character is a convicted murderer, has killed multiple cops, has robbed several banks. Like he is unafraid to kill when he has to, no qualms about it at all. And his brother is the freak. Like, his brother kills unnecessarily, is a sexual deviant in a bad way, is like very, very unreasonable, loses his cool at the wrong times. Like, he is a liability in every regard.
Yeah. The first two like hostages you see them dealing with, he kills both of them.
Yes. And then like he kills hostages left and right. He just likes causing pain. He's wild. And I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I think I wish, and we can talk about this more when we get to like plot and pacing and stuff. I wish they had done more with him post vampire.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like he's this creep, he's this freak, he's this liability. He is the brother of the hero. And when he turns into a vampire, they just hold him down and stake him. Like he does not get a villain monologue. He does not really get much of anything.
So apparently in a original like print of the movie that Robert Rodriguez did, there was like a more extended thing of Quentin Tarantino's vampire, and including a much gorier and like horrific kill. But apparently it made the people that watched it, including Quentin Tarantino, so sick to the stomach with how gross the kill was that they deleted the scene and changed it.
Wow.
Yeah. apparently the only way you can watch it is on a special edition DVD that was released.
Dang.
Oh my God.
But now that we've like gotten the elephant in the room out of the way, I want to talk about what we really enjoyed about this movie, and then I want to get into like the ways this movie could have been way better.
I mean, I can start with something I liked about this movie.
Yeah, hit it. We'll round robin this.
I genuinely think this hit the Robert Rodriguez humor that he wants to hit.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was wild. It kind of felt like it was off the rails and out of control most of the time, and had some of these like genuinely funny moments. But it also hit true Robert Rodriguez horror, and like you can tell that he really wanted to lean in and do these crazy things. And I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, it makes the weirdness of Spy Kids a lot more understandable.
Yeah. This was the perfect like combo of Quentin and Robert. Like the whole movie starts out in the most Quentin Tarantino thing ever of like just two characters talking while there's also something terrible in the background that could go off anytime. And then it does end up going off and the sheriff gets killed. And then the first time you see Quentin Tarantino's character go crazy is like the sheriff is talking to a guy who owns this like alcohol store. And like Quentin just keeps on thinking that the clerk is like trying to signal the police when he's not. He's like doing exactly what they tell him. And he's like, no, I'm not. I didn't mouth help me. I didn't like tap. What are you talking about? And because of that, Quentin Tarantino's character just kills him and they burn down the entire store. Ugh. It's such a good movie though.
It is real. I genuinely think it's like if you are a horror person that can handle a lot of blood and a lot of gore, this is good. There's a lot
it's also
of that.
It is not realistic blood or gore in any capacity. It is the classic buckets of goo approach and practical effects. Like I loved this because I'm a big practical effects guy. I will take unrealistic practical effects over hyper-realistic CGI like most of the time. I would rather know that something was physically in the room and enjoy watching the artistry there than to see some computer rendering. And so this movie gave me a lot of joy seeing just how many costumes there were, just how many like practical effects they did. It was super fun. And so watching the like unrealistic splatter and the way every vampire exploded or melted when they got hit, beautiful.
Yeah. And also the gore is really relegated to like not even the last half, like the last like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like the first hour and 10 minutes is like the most gore you see is Quentin Tarantino. I keep on saying his name instead of the character's name. Quentin Tarantino's character, Richie gets his hand stabbed, and there's a scene where he's looking at George Clooney through his hand hole. But other than that, it's really not that gory. And even the goriest shots, they like do quick cuts to like when he killed the lady in the motel.
I'm glad you brought that up because that is one of my favorite moments in this movie. Like outside of all the nonsense from a like artistic standpoint, watching the moment where like Clooney's character, what's his brother? They're the Gecko brothers.
Yeah.
Seth
and Richard.
Watching Seth like see what happened to the hostage. Because at a hostage in a hotel room, Seth leaves to go get food and stuff and comes back and finds out Richie has sexually assaulted and murdered her. Very brutally, very violently. And he walks into the room and he's just staring and like kind of stuttering and like reacting to it while there are quick like half-second flashes to little bits of gore around. Like so quick, I wondered if it was like a glitch in the film.
Yeah.
But like
Same.
there's like a slight tension. There's tension building in the air as he is like, what have you done? And that's the moment where he's like, my brother's genuinely unwell. He's a genuine liability. This is like really bad. And he like throws him against the wall and he's like, we do not do that to people. Like, we kill if we have to. She was listening. She wasn't going to do a single thing. We don't sexually assault people. We don't do any of that. Like, that's not what we do. That's not who we are. Like, that is so well done in showing the difference between the two criminals while also like really making it clear that you're not supposed to like Richie and you are supposed to like Seth. Like, it is such a good moment.
Yeah, and like I think that's another thing this movie does really well is that it makes you kind of root for Seth, even though he is like a big time murderer, you know?
Yes, he is a very bad man.
The largest of murderers. He was in prison before, like right before the start of the movie, and Richie was breaking him out.
Yeah. And then we got to talk about the family, though. The preacher, so good. Harvey Keitel crushes it. My favorite part is whenever they're in with Harvey Keitel's character outside of the whole like shotgun cross thing, was whenever they're in the bar and Clooney and like Seth is just being a jerk and he's drinking more and he's trying to fight everybody. And the preacher looks at him and goes, are you that big of a loser that you can't tell when you've won? And Seth is so shocked by the fact that he's talking to him like that. Like his hostage is talking to him like that. He has to repeat it like 3 times. But the preacher's like, are you that? Like, you're here. You crossed the border. You're waiting for your meetup. Like, you won and you're going to mess it all up. Are you that big of a loser? Like,
so
also
good. Right before that is another really good line that Seth says, because they're like, the preacher Jacob is the character's name, is like, you said everybody needs to stay cool. That includes you. And George and Seth is like, do as I say, not as I do, because he's about to kill other people.
Yeah. So you watch like an hour, because I checked the time. It was like an hour and 5 minutes in when the first vampire thing occurred.
Yeah.
You watch an hour of this movie that is like tense, tight desperados, like fleeing the country, all of this stuff. And there's like not a ton of comedy to it up until the vampires show up.
Very Reservoir Dogs feeling.
Like, it is very well done. I'd watch a full movie of that. You know?
Yeah.
And then the vampires show up and I'm like, I'd watch a full movie of this.
Yeah. I saw a review of it that said that the first hour is Quentin Tarantino's movie and the everything after that is Robert Rodriguez's.
Honestly, yeah. My one thing though about it is that the last 40 minutes, the vampire portion of the movie, is the worst from a structure and pacing perspective.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It falls apart. It goes off the rails. And Caleb, I don't know how long you got into it and how much you were able to see of that, but like they turn because picture this, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I thought I'd get going into the movie, and this is a little bit of the criticism, what I thought I'd get going into it is like, okay, they get to this bar. They find out it's full of vampires. Yeah, they get to the titty twister. They find out it's full of vampires, and it is them hiding and fighting for their life while vampires are trying to kill them, and meeting the vampire proprietors and like having some kind of like intellectual battle with them while also being a physical one, you know, like keeping the same tension the whole movie had.
Yeah.
And instead, it is immediate bloodbath with comedy and killing, and like most of the vampires in the bar die within 10 minutes.
Yeah, especially the important ones.
Right. Salma Hayek's vampire dies very quickly. Quentin Tarantino's vampire raises from the dead, gets held down, killed quickly. Like
Danny Trejo's is like
pretty Danny
fast
Trejo's
too.
vampire.
One of the first ones to die.
Yep. The band of vampires, which hilariously all their instruments turned into corpses the moment vampires started happening.
Yep.
They're like, I'm gonna kill that band, and they all like peace out, and they explode. They just blow up. No explanation. Like, most of the vampires are dead very quickly, and I checked the time and I was like, we have 30 minutes. What's gonna happen next?
I had the exact same feeling.
And then like it takes some time to make some jokes, takes some time to let people chew on the scenery, and then more vampires show up, and that's when they gear up for a final battle. But like,
Sex Machine, no!
Dude, when Sex Machine got turned into a vampire, man, I wanted to cry.
Best character. Sex Machine is best character. I'm just going to say that right now. He's got a great line. He's talking to the the preacher's daughter. His name is Kate. And they're like walking. There's just this one scene where they're walking together. And he's like, oh, what's your name? And she goes, I'm Kate. And he goes, I'm Sex Machine. Pleasure to meet you. And they shake hands and then they cut. And like, that's just my favorite. That's my favorite scene in all of movies.
There's also like the other survivor is a Vietnam veteran who he starts to go into a dramatic monologue about what he survived in Nam, but it is after Sex Machine has been bitten. So he's going into this dramatic monologue and it cuts away to Sex Machine starting to turn into a vampire and trying to hide it comically until he like somehow creeps up behind the vet and bites him and turns him into a vampire. Like, the joke is that he is telling this huge story and they just don't listen to any of it. Yeah. Like the movie cuts away from all of it.
It's
like
a grenade landed right beside me.
Yep. That's why I look so pretty now. But like the pacing is terrible for the last 40 minutes of the movie. It is buckets of blood and it's a lot of fun, but it stops being like a quality movie at that point, I will say.
But I do want to say that is part of the thing we actually loved about Spy Kids is that it was fun and that it was like it was just wild and fun the whole time, you know? And so like that's why I
really
think
good at that.
That's why I think like you can definitively say the back 40 of this movie is a Robert Rodriguez movie, you know?
Yes, but he can also do pacing. Like the Faculty had good pacing. Spy Kids has decent pacing too. Like
I think he made
he clearly grew after this because this predates Faculty, this predates Spy Kid. Like he clearly upped his game later, but this is just like when his portion of the movie shows up and it's buckets of blood and a lot of fun. Like it's just the pacing's terrible. It is fun. It is funny. I loved every minute of it, but I kept wishing that we had kept some of the tension. Like they could have easily, Salma Hayek's character could have easily been some high priestess that actually got to like be in charge before immediately dying. Richie's vampire could have actually been a depraved monster who was legitimately scary to face down because now he's got the strength to back up his perversions.
Yeah.
But they immediately killed him. I love Sex Machine and the vet, but like those dudes got more vampire badness time than like the compelling characters did.
Yeah. Sex Machine and Frost. That's the vet's name is Frost.
Frost. Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome name. Or like even Jacob the priest, like the preacher, when he turns into a vampire, is immediately killed. And then like there's just a lot of that. A little bit, though. They set that up. That was fine, but like it felt like they had so many ideas and wanted to make sure they did them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Sam Bam?
I think they could have taken out a little bit of the comedy, made that bit way more seriously, and then just like left the jokes that they had after. Because they had my favorite joke of the whole movie is the entire time Richie and Seth keep talking about they're trying to meet this guy Carlos. They're going to meet Carlos. And it's Cheech Marin for the second time in the movie is played, I'm pretty sure, right? Is that accurate? I'm pretty sure Cheech plays the guard, the Border Patrol guard, and I thought he also played Carlos. He plays Carlos.
I'm pretty sure Let me double check. I thought Cheech.
Wait, don't double check, because let me just go ahead and launch into
Just tell
this.
me that if that's
Okay, yeah, do the
this is a
game.
trivia.
Do the game.
We're gonna do a little bit of a trivia quiz. This is gonna be 5 questions. Sammy
Remind me
Cordell,
about the joke after.
you can work together. Question number 1: how many times is Cheech Marin credited in this movie?
Twice.
2.
Final answer?
Yeah,
2.
maybe 3
Yeah.
times.
Possibly a third.
I'll give it to you on there. 3 times. Cheech Marin plays 3 separate characters. He plays the border guard. He plays Carlos.
Okay, I knew it.
He plays the MC outside of
the
thought
MC
so.
who says
I thought his voice sounded familiar.
whose
yeah,
name,
because I knew that was Cheech. I knew that was Cheech.
his name is credited as Chet Pussy.
And he does say that word more times consecutively than I've ever heard ever. Like
Yeah.
Emily and I were watching it together, and we were both like, "How much more does he have in him?"
How much?
And
How
they're
much
each
longer
different
can he
types.
go? Yeah, he keeps going.
He lists so many.
My favorite is at the end of that sequence, he looks into the camera
Yeah,
directly.
Because the line is the line verbatim when he looks into the camera and he says, "If you find cheaper pussy anywhere, then you better fuck it." And he says that like screaming it into the camera. And it is ludicrous. Like that's the moment that the movie completely changes from what it was into what it will be.
Yeah, into the Robert.
That is Robert Rodriguez taking the reins and looking you in the eye while he does it.
My turn.
Speaking of Robert Rodriguez, how old was Robert Rodriguez when directing this movie?
So this was 96. So
I'm going to guess, I feel like he was like 26 years old. I really feel like he was a mid-20s guy having the time of his life.
I was going to say late 20s.
Want to call it like 28?
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down for that.
28 years old.
When directing this movie, when it came out, you're right, 28.
Ooh.
But
when directing.
When directing and shooting this movie, Cordell was correct, 26 years old.
Damn.
So y'all are 2 for 2.
Wow.
I'm gonna give it to y'all, like 2 for 2.
Yeah,
so
we were
far.
really good on that.
Yeah, y'all
We're
are really
gaming.
good on this. Now, but I only bring that up as one of the questions because this feels like a 26 years old movie, like a 26-year-old's movie. Like
Yes.
the
It really
humor,
does, yeah.
it really does. It just, yeah. The next one is true or false. Okay. This movie is the reason George Clooney became Batman.
I want this to be true so bad.
True? Yeah, I hope.
Needs to be true.
It's true. They saw this movie and it proved that George Clooney could do action, and they decided to hire him as Batman.
Whoa.
Because before this, just some fun facts, George Clooney was not in the union. This is a non-union movie throughout.
Oh, okay.
No one was
that's
involved.
Yeah.
And this was one of George Clooney's first movies and first big roles that got him to where he could get out of the soap opera scene.
I didn't know he was a soap opera boy.
Yeah, he was in ER for a very long time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all of his acting roles in the 80s are very small and in very campy, like B-movie stuff, which is why From Dusk Till Dawn makes sense, because it really, in a lot of ways, this movie is like a B-movie that managed to get a little bit out of its own genre in the beginning. Like it managed to be a little more elevated than a B-movie in the beginning, and so I feel like that's where a lot of it is, especially when you look at it. Tarantino didn't actually start becoming like a big director. I mean, his like writer and director for Reservoir Dogs, that was in 92. So even Tarantino was a much smaller name.
Yeah.
So like
The
this
two
movie
dir-
was small.
Yeah, the two directors met, Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino met because Reservoir Dogs was being shown at a festival that Rodriguez also had a film in, and that's how they met and decided to do this movie. So
Yeah, and
moving on,
also
yeah. Oh, you go
also I
ahead.
think it's worth noting that like Clooney, like Batman and Robin was 97 and it was very comedic. Like I don't think he started being considered more of a dramatic actor until O Brother Where Art Thou. Like, and that was in
I would
2000.
agree
And
with that.
then he did Ocean's 11 in 2001 and like really blew up. And also the same year he did Spy Kids. But like really 2000 is where his career seems to pick up a lot more and people start having him do things. And then by like 2008, he's the George Clooney we know and love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, moving on. This is one that is fun. The other person credited for writing the movie, other than Quentin Tarantino, is one Robert Kurtzman. So here is the trivia / question: is which came first, the script or the practical effects?
I want to say practical effects.
Because, I mean, what I know about Kurtzman from doing my own looking around about From Dusk Till Dawn is that Kurtzman was an effects guy. So I think he probably had a cool idea for effects and then they like got a story around it and then wrote the script.
That is 100% correct.
Bam, bam,
Kurtzman
bam.
wrote a 14-page script just for the effects. And then Quentin Tarantino wrote him the script for From Dusk Till Dawn in exchange for Kurtzman's like company doing the effects for Reservoir Dogs for free.
Yo, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a little trade. It was like, you write, you do this, we'll get this done.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that 14-page thing that he wrote originally was just the ending of the movie. And then
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, it was pretty much that.
I would guess that he wrote the bar stuff and his ideas for it. And then Tarantino's like, well, let's set this up. And then Rodriguez says, I'll knock it down.
Yeah.
I'll dunk it.
I'll dunk it. So, last question.
Okay.
Originally, Santanico Pandemonium was not supposed to be played by Salma Hayek, but a pop star who Quentin Tarantino had a big crush on. So 1996 is when the movie came out. Who was the pop star who declined due to scheduling conflict?
I mean, I don't know any of this stuff. My heart says Elvira.
My brain said Shakira, but I don't know how big. I don't know when Shakira got big.
I think this is a little bit before Shakira got kind of big.
Also, Elvira wasn't a
Christina
pop star,
Aguilera.
Is it? No.
Katy Perry? No.
No, I mean,
just saying random pop stars.
I don't know. I don't have it.
All right. So, I mean, 4 for 5. Y'all did great on the questions. Madonna was supposed to play Santanico Pandemonium. And Robert Rodriguez was the one to suggest Salma Hayek instead because he was like, if this is going to be in Mexico, we need to include more Mexican actors.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So that's it. That's the another just bonus fun trivia. The scene at the end of the movie where the titty twister is burning down was the first scene shot with the titty twister because it accidentally caught on fire. So they just went with it and filmed the scene and then rebuilt it.
That's incredible.
Incredible. Okay, speaking of the titty twister.
Let me say my joke because I was interrupted
Right.
in telling the final joke that I really liked to do that bit. I really like what I think they should have done. That end should have been way more serious and added that little joke that was still at the end. That is my favorite joke in the movie. Carlos is there. Seth and Carlos are talking, and Seth was like, "Why did you pick this place?" Blah 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 blah. And Carlos was like, "I've never been here. I just saw it on the side of the street and was like, oh, it's in the middle of nowhere. We should meet there." Just so happens to be the den of vampires. At the very end, there's a shot that pulls out, and it's like an evil temple, gothic temple on the backside, and the front is just a normal little bar.
Yeah, so okay. So the joke more specifically too, my favorite line of the joke is he goes, "One place is as good as another, right?"
Yeah.
like he was just like, "It's open all night, good place to hide from the cops."
Yeah. You wanted to meet at dawn. This place is open at dawn.
Yeah. So that's the hilarious part. But what I really wish they had done more with is that pan away where you realize that like the bar you were in, because even Emily, when they walked in originally, was like, "This looks like a church. Like this looks like a temple." And then they nailed that. And then as you see that, like you go down and there's a huge temple complex beneath it, like I really wish the movie could have done more with the fact that they were in an ancient Mesoamerican temple. Like, because you even kind of see it, like you can tell they played with that a little bit because Salma Hayek's vampire looks more snake than vampire. And she is clearly the one in charge. Like she is the progenitor of them. It's heavily implied. It's implied that they are all her servants. They all worship her.
Yeah.
So like, one, she should have had more. But two, like, they could have done a lot more, which makes me kind of want to watch the TV show. Apparently in like 2011 or 2013 or something, they made a From Dusk Till Dawn, the series, where they explored more of the like Latin American, like Mesoamerican mythology and stuff as they fleshed it out. And they started with the same basic idea and plot and then turned it into a series somehow. And I'm very curious to see what they'd actually explore. It's just not streaming for free anywhere.
Yeah. Max has the second and third movies. I guess there's 2 more movies after this one, but I haven't heard literally anything about them, so I assume they're bad. Also, they're not directed by Robert. I don't know if he had anything to do with them.
The first sequel is direct to video, and apparently is just more about like they're robbing a bank and vampires are involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah, I've heard the series is okay, and I believe it's a sequel and a prequel is the 2 movies.
Oh yeah, the third one is a prequel. Yeah.
And then the only actor to appear in all 3 movies is Danny Trejo.
I love that man.
He just needs money.
He just needs money.
He just needs money.
And he's a good when I was a child, I knew the names Cheech and Chong and knew who Cheech Marin was because of Spy Kids. I just assumed Danny Trejo's nickname was Chong and assumed that was the other one because they were linked in my brain, so intertwined. I was like, yeah, that's it. That's got to be him.
Makes sense. They both play uncles,
right?
In Spy Kids.
I was just like, that's them. That's who it is. That's Cheech and Chong.
Man, it's crazy to see Chong killing all these people in this movie Machete.
Right. Right.
I didn't think weed people did that.
Yeah, I was very surprised when I figured out that Tommy Chong was Chong and not Danny Trejo.
Not Danny Trejo. We were all surprised that day. That was my 9/11.
Danny Trey Chong.
Anyway,
Chongy
that movie.
Trejo?
Chongy Trejo. Tommy Trejo.
I mean, Chongy Trejo's a good episode title for this one, I feel like.
Chongy
Trejo.
But from feet to toes.
From feet to toes.
From feet to
I know we
toes,
said
the
I know we
Chongy
said we were
Trejo
moving
story.
on. I know we said we were moving on from talking about Quentin Tarantino's foot thing in this movie.
Nasty feet thing.
Okay.
I
You
just
say this, I'm gonna look into something.
how is he like just keeps getting away with this? You know?
This was the most feet
egregious
in a movie too. The funniest thing is I literally just finished like earlier last week finished Quiet on Set, that documentary series about Dan Schneider.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Watching people react to it and saying Quentin Tarantino was brought up specifically because it was like, here's the two differences in when it's okay and when it's not okay. When it's okay, it's still weird, but it's not. It's like with Dan Schneider, it was children's feet and it was disgusting and weird and gross. And like with Quentin Tarantino, at least it's adult feet. It's still weird and gross, but it's not as like predatory. It's so crazy though. Like he really wrote a part where Salma Hayek shoved her foot in his mouth and in that character's mouth and then was like, I'm playing that role, bitch.
Yeah. Y'all want to know something crazy I just learned about Tommy Chong though?
He likes feet too?
No, I was just like, what was Tommy Chong in? It just kind of like looking at his thing. So Tommy Chong was in prison in the 1990s, and his cube mate was Jordan Belfort, who most people know as the Wolf of Wall Street. And Tommy Chong is the person who told him to write the book Wolf of Wall Street because Jordan Belfort was telling him all these crazy stories, and he was like, "Yeah, go write a book about that, man."
Incredible.
I know he probably wouldn't have been, but I just love to imagine him smoking a blunt while he says that.
Like, oh man,
you should write a book about that, man.
Oh.
Well, you know what? Well, Cordell's still looking.
Yeah.
I think it's time for when we read reviews that are really bad, so guess the movie.
Oh yeah.
This is a 5-star review from Raph.
Raph, thank you, Raph. From College Humor?
No.
Not Raphael, just saying. Okay.
I feel like that Raph would have liked this movie.
Oh, a little kind of a hint.
Cheap Vampire Matrix. Came for Michael Sheen, stayed for Michael Sheen. Ugh.
Came for Michael Sheen, stayed for Michael Sheen.
OUGH, however you pronounce that sound. I went, ugh.
Ding, ding, ding. Is this Red Dawn?
It is not.
Okay. That's the only Michael Sheen movie I could think of.
Half-star review from flan emoji. I don't know how they got the flan emoji as their username. Like, it's not that spelled out. It's literally just the flan emoji. But hate it. And I love vampires.
Charlie Sheen was in Red Dawn, not Michael Sheen.
This one might be a little bit more helpful. This is a 5-star review from Hira9. Balenciaga AI generated movie.
Oh, ding, ding, ding. It's one of the Twilights. I'm gonna guess Breaking Dawn.
It's not one of the Twilights. I'm sorry.
What? Okay, now I'm having to think of any other Michael Sheen vampire movie.
Have you seen the Balenciaga AI memes?
No.
Harry Potter Balenciaga. It's a Balenciaga, not Balenciaga.
Yeah. Okay.
Just imagine. Okay, what Cordell?
I mean, I looked up Michael Sheen, and so I feel like I know the answer now, and I'm sorry.
Okay,
I
you
cheated.
cheater.
I cheated.
You
I
cheater.
cheated.
Okay, here, Caleb. Well, let me find. I'll find one more. Okay, here we go. This is a 5-star review from James Ford. Call me old-fashioned, but I would think that a movie in which vampires fight werewolves should be even at least 1% fun to watch.
And it's not one of the Twilights.
It's
Okay.
not one of the Twilights. Think of vampires in leather.
Vampires in
It's
leather.
the Matrix of vampire movies, Caleb. Come on.
That was the first.
Y'all also have to realize I'm not big on on anything kind of scary. So I may just not know this movie, you know?
I
Can I
feel like
say
you've
it?
heard of it. Let me do one more. This is a longer review. Okay. And then you can say it, Cordell, because I know you know it. 5-star review from Trey. Matrix for vampires. This didn't look nearly as bad as I thought it would. And some of the cinematography is actually pretty good, at least for the early 2000s. And Kate Beckinsale is fine as hell on her own. But as a vampire, dear Lord baby Jesus, hard eye emojis. She can turn me into a vampire any day of the week. But the acting is pretty bad, and these movies that are just nonstop action jut for the sake of action are played out. Seems like John Wick is the only one still going as it strong, but I haven't seen those, so I don't have an opinion. It is stylish in its own way, and I love how dark it is. But this is already outdated, and it wouldn't be remembered like the first Matrix will be.
Okay. I have not seen this movie, but I think it has vampires in it, and I know it is like post Matrix, so it's got to have Matrix influence.
Yeah.
Underworld?
Yeah.
Yes.
The first
Yeah.
Underworld movie.
Oh my gosh. That was bad. I have no clue anything about that movie. So like
we should watch it.
I will say I'm proud of myself for coming up with Matrix of vampire movies before the review that said that. Like,
to be fair, while you were Googling, the very first review I said was Matrix with vampires.
Really? Oh, I'm not original.
Sadly, I don't think you were listening. But
I wasn't. Okay. I was deep in the article.
You were deep in an article.
But it's still good that without hearing it, you said that. So that's cool.
Oh yeah. Or maybe I like subconsciously had it. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I was curious, right? Everybody talks about Tarantino and feet.
Right.
But I wanted to know if Tarantino ever talked about Tarantino and feet.
Oh
and so I was looking around at different controversies and different things. You know, he's got a lot of controversies. He is a controversial director. As we've talked about, he likes saying slurs, or at least liked to say slurs.
Yeah.
In his earlier films, and then of course came back with Django Unchained, but that one made a little more sense than the other ones. But there are articles written talking about his feet thing. I did not find any time where Tarantino came out and responded about feet. So I want to ask a simple question rather than continue the like we all know he's into feet. He's put it in, because they talked about in his movies that are all men, there aren't foot shots. It is always lady feet.
Yeah.
Always. It is never dude feet.
Think about that, but yeah.
So I think it is worth asking the question. Are y'all chill with foot fetish stuff being in his movies if it is not like actively exploitative, like, and he's not like doing gross things about it? You know, it's like people put sex scenes in movies. People put a lot of sexual stuff in films. If his foot stuff goes to the extent of just like having a lot of feet on screen, is that really that bad? Like, we like to josh on it and make jokes, but like, want to get your temperature on it.
I would be lying if I said it didn't detract a little bit from his movies for me.
Interesting. Okay.
But I also I'll still watch the movies, but I'm always kind of like, that's kind of uncomfortable.
Fair.
I'm asking these questions more from a like attempting to get an all around perspective thing and not to be like some random devil's advocate for a thing I don't care about.
Yeah.
Do sex scenes detract from movies for you?
Uh,
Sometimes for me, yes.
yeah, I would say yeah, same. Sometimes, yeah,
I
they
would
do.
agree. Okay.
I so a movie we've all seen that I think the sex scene did not detract is Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Because I think it emphasized how Oppenheimer is an unreliable narrator and how there are no reliable narrators in that movie because of that.
Yeah.
So that I think did well, but, like, most sex scenes aren't necessary. Like, one of my there's a movie I really love that not a lot of people have seen, so if you haven't seen this movie, watch it. It's called Frank. It stars, Michael Fassbender and Maggie Gyllenhaal, Domhnall Gleeson. Uh, Pretty good movie. Really good movie. There is a sex scene in that movie that I legitimately was like, "There's no point in having that there." Like, it makes the movie overall worse.
Yeah. And okay. I haven't seen Frank. I've heard very good things about it though. It's the one with the weird
Weird
paper
head,
mache
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, the Mask, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Good movie.
Another example. Well, I guess this is more of one that adds. The movie Her. There's like two scenes specifically that I feel like add to the story. The first one is like he has a phone, or he tries to have phone sex with somebody, voiced by Kristen Wiig, which is incredible. And
Hmm.
she, like, it starts off normal and it kind of gets, you're like, okay, whatever. And then she's like, there's a dead cat next to you. Choke me with the dead cat.
Whoa.
And it just like freaks out. It's a sex scene that adds to how lonely and how separated from the world. What's his name? Joaquin Phoenix's character. Yeah, like is how disjointed he is from the rest of the world and how nothing goes right for him.
Okay, yeah. So follow up question, because I think this is an interesting conversation topic in general, and I know what I think, but I understand other perspectives on it too. Because I do agree, I prefer when a sex scene enhances plot or story or does anything more than just be about sex.
Mm-hmm.
And it does a little bit detract from something when a sex scene adds nothing. Do you have a problem with sex scenes that add nothing to the plot? Or is it just not your cup of tea? Like, do you have anything against them, or are you just not like super thrilled by them?
At risk of sounding like a prude, I actually do have a problem with them. Like, I think if it's not doing anything for the plot or anything for the movie, it almost seems exploitative or like abusing the idea that sex sells just to get your movie more done. Which, if your movie's well done, it would not need it.
Yeah. It doesn't, I'm not against it, but I agree with that though, Caleb.
Okay, that's fair. Because the argument I've heard in response to that idea is that a lot of movies are full of things that are not strictly necessary to the plot, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like a lot of action, because the response that I've heard the most commonly, that I think, for me at least, makes me think about it a little more, is that because people are like, you could pan away to the fireplace or pan away and like imply sex, right? And someone's like, response to that was, well, you could pan away from a fight scene and just show the aftermath. You don't have to show most fight scenes. A lot of fight scenes in movies don't actively progress the plot. They are there to look cool and to be interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's a bit of bad faith in that argument, though.
I mean, I'm just bringing an argument I've heard because I think it's
Yeah,
interesting to think about.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, I think that, like, I think for some people that is a valid argument. I think if you hold it up under scrutiny, it kind of doesn't work because fight scenes also don't include people being naked in front of a camera. So
What if there's a sex scene with no nudity? A sex scene that's just shadows and thrusts and moans.
I think that's a little bit less exploitative.
Okay.
So I don't know. There's a whole spectrum of stuff.
Yeah, and like this, the
consider.
conversation in general is a lot more in depth than I care to get into because I'm just bringing it up because I think it's interesting, especially in comparison. And I'm going to loop it back to like the whole feet question, because I too agree that my least favorite thing about nudity in film and television is not that it is nudity, but I have concerns with it kind of inherently being exploitative, Yes, a performer does sign a contract or does consent to do it, but there are power dynamics at play. A lot of times it is just to like sell sex to get people because you cannot, a movie that throws the sex scene into the trailer is a movie just trying to like it doesn't have enough interesting that it can throw a not sex scene into a trailer,
Yeah.
I do agree with the concerns about exploitation, but I'm not going to lie to you. In the Tarantino situation, I actually don't care that he shows feet that much.
Same,
like
honestly.
it's a little bit gross for me to think about, but it is also, I would argue, far less exploitative than nudity. And considering that they're like brief shots, and honestly, the Dusk Till Dawn thing is like the furthest any foot-related stuff goes in a Tarantino movie. I just, I wondered about it because I don't really have a problem with it. Because he's not out here like Dan Schneider, and he's not out here like being gross. He's gross in other ways, but like he's not being gross to the performers and making them do weird things with their feet. Like it is just a visual he enjoys. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I feel like some of the shots in From Dusk Till Dawn feel like they're supposed to be gross.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, they show shots of Kate, the preacher's daughter's feet, and it feels gross because it's like
from
him
his
looking at.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a gross situation. So it's not like glorifying the looking at feet. It's like,
right.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like, that's the thing. I don't think it is morally wrong, especially if the person is like consenting to have their feet in the movie. But like it is, I understand, and sometimes for me, feel like it is weird. But it's not like it's not okay and should. It's like, and again, I'm coming from the standpoint of I literally just finished the documentary where it's all about children's feet, where it's very, very obviously the word, like very morally, very legally, everything in wrong. So like I might be a little biased because I'm like, oh, it's an adult person's feet.
Yeah.
But
where can you watch that documentary, by the way?
It's on, I think it's on
I want to
Max.
watch it.
It's really good. The crazy thing is it's not even all about Dan Schneider. Like, I don't want to spoil because it's a very interesting watch. Yeah, it's on Max.
I knew there were some other bad people at that studio. But we have a little bit of time. I think we should be able, if you guys are okay, and if not, Sammy, edit this out for a little draft showdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be a good palate cleanser from the weirdly in-depth feet and sex questions I asked you.
You know what? I think those are conversations we would probably have off mic, and I think they're fine to have on mic. So,
I mean,
yeah.
I do like us occasionally getting a little deep about things. Like, I think it is a worthwhile question to ask of like, if I'm chill with X sex scene and not chill with Y sex scene, what's the difference?
What's the difference?
And it's like, just because it's a kink I don't have, like feet, and it's not actively gross or exploitative, like, should I be against it if it is relatively harmless? Like, those are all questions I like to think about, and I'm glad we can have those conversations.
Yeah, me too.
But let's battle.
Now, here's how I'm thinking this going down. Here's the rules I set outside of podcast, but we're setting them inside of podcast.
Yeah.
I have opened a wheel chooser website that's you just type in the information and you spin the wheel. What I'm thinking is we each go around, we say a concept for the battle. We're taking the 10 that we have draft picked right now, and they're going to do quote battle. Like it could be which group is the best to eat dinner with, which is the best to play Dark Souls co-op with. But we each come up with some, and then for each of the 10 drafts that we end up doing or whatever, we spin the wheel, and then we vote. That was my idea.
So is this time going to be coming up with circumstances to put on a wheel for later, or are we going to do it all right now?
I think we're going to do it all right now. Come up with the circumstances, spin the wheel, and then figure it out.
We got to do this as rapid fire as possible to prevent meddling.
Yes.
I think an easy one to start out with is like play. Which group is best to play co-op story mode of a video game with? Like
I think
toss it in.
Cordell, do you want to go next, or would you like me to?
You go next.
I want to say, which group is the best to go have a nice dinner with? Like one where you dress up. A fancy dinner. We'll say fancy dinner.
Okay, yeah, I like that a lot.
Which group is the best to get lost with?
Oh.
Ooh, a slightly different one, but get stuck on a deserted island with. So kind of a little different, but
yeah.
Kind of the same.
Best group to have to share an apartment with.
Ooh, that's incredible.
You're locked in a lease for a year. That is the
a year lease.
Locked in a year-long lease.
With. Cool.
Okay. Best group to assemble an IKEA dresser with.
Oh, that's so good. That's good. That's great.
Assemble IKEA.
You want to do one more each?
Let's do one more each. Let's do 9 total. How about sing a karaoke duet with?
Oh wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Group karaoke.
I'll change it to group karaoke because it's more than just one.
Best group to plan your wedding.
Oh,
okay.
Best group to do a national treasure with.
Ooh.
Oh.
Like I'm talking, you discover the next national treasure beginning, like and you're doing this plot. You are discovering it with them.
I love that.
Okay, I'm shuffling it.
Spin the wheel.
And we're spinning. It's
going to be fun.
All right. It looks like for this round, we're going to do group karaoke, which I'm now removing from the list, and we'll still have this list, and we can add more.
I like it.
We'll add more as we go. I like that.
Okay. But I also removed karaoke because we did it.
So, I have it open here. I can send our lists in the group chat if that works for y'all.
Yeah.
Go ahead and spout them off real quick too, just so
people know.
Unless you want us to each say our own.
I think let's each say our own.
Okay.
So Cordell, if you start that way.
So I have drafted The Platonic Ideal of a Beanbag Chair, Candy Wife from Flapjack, the live-action Scooby-Doo movies, The Cosmere, The Mythical Island of Xanadu, Fallout Boy, Magic the Gathering, Linda Cardellini, Devil Fruits from One Piece, and Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
I have Ichiro Oda, Weed in a King Palm Blunt, Nicolas Cage, The World of Pokemon, John Baptiste, Power Rangers, Beat the Champ by the Mountain Goats, the Warlock class from D&D, Zoro from One Piece, and Volcarona, the Pokemon.
And I have Matthew Mercer, The Legend of Zelda series, Slaughterhouse 5 by Kurt Vonnegut, My Dog Wilder, Rivers Cuomo, The Color Blue, Hulk Gray, The 12th Doctor from Doctor Who, Luffy from One Piece, and a challenging ambient music album. Here's my thing. I think I've got a pretty good case for why I win.
Okay.
What's the contest again for this one?
Group
This
karaoke.
Group karaoke. So first of all, Matthew Mercer, what a voice. What a voice. You know, I think that's all I got to say. Rivers Cuomo, the lead singer of Weezer. And 12th Doctor from Doctor Who, as portrayed by Peter Capaldi, who was in a band and still releases music to this day. So, all that, and for those downtimes when we're all just chilling, sitting down and relaxing between the songs, what do we have to put on in the background? It's a challenging ambient music album.
But what if I said I had John Baptiste? One of the greatest musical talents of our generation.
You know, I did think about that.
But I think you might be a little bit more right, because the only things I've got musically is John Baptiste and Beat the Champ.
I have a contender here. I think
That's
we're overlooking Cordy's draft. Okay. So hear me out.
Okay.
Karaoke, right? Karaoke. I have Fallout Boy, a whole band. I have the Cosmere. You know what's in the Cosmere? Light weavers. They can make light and sound illusions, which can accent the karaoke.
Uh-oh.
I have the Mythical Island of Xanadu, a well-known cult classic musical, so I've got a lot of singing and dancing and rollerblades. Linda Cardellini has sang songs, especially in a deleted scene from the live-action Scooby-Doo movies. And we could be drinking Baja Blast.
That's the thing. I didn't bring up that all of us would be smoking the weed in a King Palm Blunt in between.
That would songs. Make everything
That is
better.
Relevant. That is better.
And if you have the world of Pokemon, you do have the Squirtle Squad, and I feel like they do a killer karaoke.
They do. Oh,
there's just the Pokemon Meloetta too.
Yep. I have Devil Fruits from One Piece, though, and the Devil Fruits have there are musical Devil Fruits.
There are?
Yeah. There is a Devil Fruit that lets you, like, use sound as an attack. You make music and stuff with it.
Huh?
Yeah.
Who has that one? I'm looking this up.
It's the Odo no Mi.
One of the main dudes of the I forgot because I hate him.
Scratch Manapoo.
Yeah, but his body becomes instruments, so it's a little different. No,
okay, not great for karaoke, I guess. But no, I think he's relevant here.
Overlooking another thing on my list.
What?
Okay.
What?
My dog does growl. And
I thought you were going to say Luffy because he sings all the time.
Luffy does sing all the time, and that is something I had considered. I also want to say neither of y'all get to have the color blue in
We
your
can't
room at
have
all.
any
That's fine.
blues.
So
That's fine.
what is the mythical island of Xanadu with no ocean around it? Because all of it's gone because that's blue.
It floats, you moron.
You
okay.
moron.
Here's the thing. I obviously vote for myself here.
Well, I
as
obviously
the one
vote
that's
for
gonna-
myself.
Well, I vote for our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Oh, dang, she got us. She got us.
You're
Dang.
pranked. I think it is up to me, though.
I think it is.
You both are making very compelling arguments.
I'm just saying, my dog is pretty great.
Also, in the live action Scooby Doo movies are multiple musical performances,
True.
including
I also have
Sugar
Hulk
Ray.
Gray. Damn it.
Yeah, get wrecked.
I also have Hulk Gray, who's going to be good at providing those background drums? The Hulk.
True.
The Hulk.
The Hulk Gray.
You know what? You know what's also kind of musical? When you fall back and you land on your platonic ideal of a beanbag chair. I think Cordell wins this round.
Oh,
Yeah!
My vote's for Cordell.
Thank you for
Well-
respecting the power I brought with my team.
well,
I honestly think everybody packed a punch this round. And
Oh, yeah.
I think
I'm
so.
excited for
Yeah.
the next ones we do.
am I deleting everything that we've gotten, or are we keeping that list that we have so far?
If you want, you can keep it saved, but I think we will be doing a fresh list for each battle.
Okay. I will do this. Okay.
Yeah, if like in the spreadsheet, if you want to put like a separation and say who the winner is, and
Yeah.
then continue. I
Yeah.
don't know. Or whatever you want to do. Whatever is easiest. And I have the wheel saved, so we can spin on that whenever.
And I have my
All right.
winning personality.
Yeah, you do, baby.
Well, there's one song that I know that might not be the best for good old karaoke, but it is a banger of a track, and it's our opening and closing theme song, Psychobilly Freak Out, off the album Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em by the Reverend Horton Heat. Did it in a little bit of a different order that time.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Ooh.
Very sexy
Well,
of you.
If you liked this podcast, you could rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I was trying to remember which one I said first normally, but I think I just go back and forth anyway, so switch up. But you could follow us on TikTok and Twitter at Junk House Pod if you want to as well.
That is also true. If you want, you can email us at junkhousemaiLbox@gmail.com. You can also read this email that's, oh man, it's from the One Piece writer. He says Cordell's
Ichiro
One
Oda?
Piece now.
Oh my god.
Cordell is the One Piece?
I'm One Piece now. So
Oh my god.
y'all better think about that.
Quick reminder, next week is our last week of
It is.
and it's actually going to be in April, so that's a little awkward. But we're watching Shark Boy and Lava Girl if you want to check that out. So get ready. But as we say every week.
Yeah, as we say every week.
I'm not really excited for Shark Boy and Lava Girl, but we're gonna do it.
Do you know who is excited for Shark Boy and Lava Girl?
Me.
Jesus.
It's a psychobilly freak out!